Welcome to Career Lab. I'm so excited about my guest today. Marie Incontrera is a social media expert and consultant, and we're going to be talking about how to use content creation and social media to advance your career, whether you're looking for a new job or you want to move ahead in the one that you have. Welcome, Marie. I have so many questions for you about social media and how that can help people advance in their careers. So, the first question that I have is around content creation
Mhm.
and how people, well, first of all, what is it? And how either a job seeker or someone who's in their job can use content creation to help them find a new job or to advance in their career.
That's a great question, and I love talking about content creation, and I think part of the reason it can feel really overwhelming is because content creation is such a big thing, right? We could be talking about something as involved as creating long form video content, where this is something like 20 or 30 minutes of our time, or maybe a little bit more, or we could be blogging weekly, or we could do something as simple as going into LinkedIn and, you know, writing a paragraph about your ideas and, hitting the post button. All of that's content creation. And it really is dependent on how much you want to do and what you have the bandwidth for. And a little bit of it matters on the industry, because some industries like different kinds of content better than others. But really, what you're thinking about is putting your ideas out there in the world. That's what content creation is.
Well, why
Um,
do you think that's important? If let's say somebody's looking for a job, why is that important? They have so many other things to do when they're looking for a job.
right, exactly. This is the age old question, right? Like, do I have to actually do this? Is it just another thing that I have to do?
Exactly.
And I think the answer is absolutely, it's important, because when somebody looks at your LinkedIn, um, first of all, they want to get an idea of you, who you are, before they reach out and have a phone call or a video interview, or or have you come in, right? So it's important for job seekers, because that can be the thing that helps you stand out, even if it seems like, well, okay, so I'm sharing this trending article in the news. It's workplace trend news, and it doesn't seem really that important, but it might give your potential employer, or the person who's going to promote you, or the person that's going to hire you, it might give them a little bit of a taste of what makes you tick, and whether or not your values align. And that's a really important, like, culture fit is a really important thing to think about when you're being hired, or when you're going to stay with a company or advance in a company. And content can, just tell people a little bit about who you are.
That is so true. But what about somebody who's already employed? And let's say they're doing well.
Mhm.
Maybe they want to get promoted,
Yeah.
and they're busy working at their job. So, does content creation affect them?
Absolutely. I think you can use content in a different way if you're looking to get promoted. One of the great things about social media is that you can share the ideas of others that you believe in. That's kind of another thing. So one of the easiest ways to do things is to look on Harvard Business Review or Forbes, or some of these high value, high profile publications, and look at the if let's say you want to get promoted to management, share some ideas, some management practices that you believe are good, or that you believe you would be using when you're in that position, right? So social media is kind of just another place. If you're already in the job, you can think of it as like the water cooler, right? You can talk about ideas. One example is, of course, there was that mass layoff over Zoom,
Yes.
right? And people have been sharing those articles about that. And, you know, I'm I've had a lot of the same. It's a little bit different because I'm a business owner, but I've had a lot of the same colleagues for many, many years. We're in a network, and that sharing that article, everybody who shares the article, I see like a stream of conversation with people that I know, people that I trust. We've gotten into really valuable conversations about what does it take to be an ethical leader?
Mhm.
Why was this a real mess up on the part of the CEO? What does that look like? Where does somebody go from here? All of that's conversation now that, the next time I need to talk to a coach, who am I going to think of? I'm going to think of somebody who, aligns with my opinion on that.
Yeah, it's a really good point. So, if you wouldn't mind backing up a half a step, you said there are many ways to produce content.
Mhm.
And if someone is not comfortable or they don't have experience producing long form content, how do you get started?
So the first thing I always say is play to your strengths. If you don't feel you're a good writer, then maybe blogging is not the place to start,
Okay.
right? Or maybe you don't feel comfortable on video. So videos, you might want to start with written forms.
Uh-huh.
So that's the first thing is, start where you are, play with your strengths and start small. You don't want to burn out saying I'm committing to 3 videos a week and the LinkedIn newsletter and blogging, there's so much that you could do. It literally could become a job. And so carve out half hour a week. Do you think you can write a short blog post during that time? Or maybe you could do a video, or maybe you could write 5 bullet points on a topic. This is one of the easiest ways to create content. So, five things you can do to help motivate your team. If you're looking to get promoted to manager status or senior leadership, right? And
You could repost someone else's article and comment on it.
absolutely, absolutely. And so that's one thing you could do. You could repost, but in order to start getting your ideas in there, you can quote somebody,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
can you can say here are 5 things, and career coach Susan Peppercorn
Yeah.
says XYZ, right? There's that kind of thing that you can also do.
So there are so many social media outlets. How do you know which one to choose?
Well, so LinkedIn's my favorite, full disclosure,
Well,
because
why? Why? It happens to be mine also, but I'm curious why you
well,
feel that way.
for job seekers, it's an important one to be on. And if you're going to choose one as a job seeker, right,
Mhm.
I would say be on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
And the reason for that is because decision makers at companies, right, HR professionals, leaders, recruiters, they're on LinkedIn.
for sure.
They are looking for you,
For sure. Yeah.
right?
What about if you're already employed? I mean, what are your thoughts about something like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter?
So I think those are all really nice supplements um,
Mhm.
for people in general and also job seekers. People are going to be, your potential employers are going to be looking at all of your social media profiles. They're going to Google you most likely, and they're going to find you. And so that's something to keep in mind, right? So you want to have at least a relatively consistent presence on all of your social media profiles, and you want to seem like the same person. It sounds silly, but it's true, right? If your LinkedIn is all buttoned up and super corporate and you have this really professional headshot and you could tell that you're in a suit and you're posting all this really, really, really professional, really high level content. And then we go over to your Instagram and you're, posting pictures of yourself out at a bar all the time, or something like that. It creates a disconnect.
Yes.
Right. And employers know you're going to have your personal profiles, right? Facebook is for friends and followers. So your tone on Facebook is going to be a little bit different. But just keep in mind that you want to appear like the same person. And you want to give people a little bit of a taste of what you're going to get.
Is frequency of posting important?
I favor consistency, especially on LinkedIn and Twitter. LinkedIn, it's important to be posting 5 times a week
Mhm.
for algorithm purposes, and you want to get it ups your chances for getting in front of the most amount of your followers if you post 5 days a week at least, but no more than once a day, because your posts can start to overshadow each other in the algorithm.
Interesting.
So,
What about tagging people in your posts? I see people do that. So, for example, I get tagged in other people's
yep.
posts, and sometimes I'm not sure why I've gotten tagged, other than I think it gets more attention if
Hmm.
other people's names are associated with somebody else's post. So,
Yeah.
sometimes it seems a little gratuitous to me.
Yeah.
Other times I think there's a purpose for it, but I'm curious what your opinion is, and maybe you can explain what that is too.
Yeah, and so yes, there is a purpose to that, but I will say it's also a pet peeve of mine. Um, so the reason that people do those, like I call them tag clouds, where like the
Yes.
the most amount of people are tagged that is possible. Um, that works for a few reasons. Number one, you get a notification, and so
Yes.
you're most likely to go to the post, and that gives them a view. Second of
Yes.
all, it ranks in in your activity tab that you were tagged in something, and then if you like or comment, it's going to show your followers. That activity ranks in the feed on LinkedIn.
So, for viewers who may not know what we're talking about, you may see a post. I'm just using LinkedIn as an
Yeah.
example, where after you read the post, you're going to see a bunch of names highlighted at the bottom of that post.
Hmm.
That's what tagging is.
Yeah.
And you may wonder, what are all those names doing there? And
Right.
that's what Marie is explaining. It's a way of getting the post more visibility. But
Exactly. And to be fair, there are a lot of good reasons to tag people,
what
right?
are those?
So if you're mentioning somebody's, or if you're sharing somebody else's article, you
Okay.
should tag
Yes.
them. It's a
Yes.
good practice.
Yes.
First of all, it grows your network. And second of all, when you tag somebody, you're actually engaging with their audience as well, because it shows
Mhm.
up on their profile. So
Mhm.
you're expanding your potential reach. So it's a good idea to do when, when it's necessary and when it's appropriate, right? If you get, I have people who will tag me on the regular, like daily, weekly, sometimes, and I purposely, like, I feel like they're giving me homework, right? They're saying go to my post and comment. Um, but because it does work, it's an algorithm play that works. But I say, tag people who have something really smart to say. Tag somebody, another way you can use tagging really effectively is, did you have a great meeting with somebody? Did you go to a conference and hear somebody speak? Did you have a great networking event that you went to and you want to thank the host? You can do that and thank people. You could do that and highlight their accomplishments. Things like those are good reasons to tag people.
Those are really great suggestions, Marie. Thank you.
Mhm.
Are
Yeah.
there any other tips that you have that you think, like, what are Marie's three best tips
Mhm.
for social media for, job seekers or for people who want to get ahead in their careers that we haven't talked about?
Cool. So I definitely have three. I may go off on a tangent and give you
That's
some,
okay.
but the first thing is don't doom scroll. So
What is that?
so that's when, and you see it more on Facebook, but LinkedIn is kind of getting there, where your news feed, there are things in your news feed that you care about because the algorithm knows what your search habits are and what you're paying attention to, so it's going to show you more of that. So if you're really into a certain presidential election, or you really care about something, you're going to see a lot of that in your feed. And it can, if you just kind of mindlessly scroll through these sites, um you can really go down a rabbit hole. It's a big time waster. And you see enough bad news,
Mm,
it can really affect your mood.
for sure.
Of course, during the pandemic, right, depression and anxiety are up, and social media is a big contributor to that because we all crave human connection, and one of the only ways to get that, is, especially 12 months ago, was through social media. And so I just recommend really being conscious about, just kind of mindlessly scrolling and looking and seeing what's up. Also, kind of looking too much at other people's posts can sometimes feel, like you want to get into something, or you want to go down a rabbit hole and
Mm.
comment. That can be a big time waster.
Oh,
So
for
that's my
sure.
first thing, is
Yeah.
don't doom scroll. The second thing is spend 10 minutes a day, not much time, 10 minutes a day, reach out to 3 people that you want to be connected with.
Mhm.
And, one of the easiest ways to do that is on LinkedIn, where you can go in and, search for some keyword terms, some companies that you're interested in, and say, hi, I looked at your profile and I liked XYZ, or I was impressed by XYZ accomplishment. I'd love to connect, or we're in the same industry and I'd love to chat about XYZ. So, and you want to make sure that you are providing value too. So try to give them something, right? Try to make it so that your offer, if you want to jump on a call with them, give it a, try to have a reason that's a value add for them and not
Right.
just getting from them.
Yes. Do you have another one? You said you had a
Um,
third.
yeah. So I said, don't scroll. 10 minutes a
Yeah.
day, reach out.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. And here's the other one. Um, don't be afraid to put your ideas out there. A
Mm.
lot of people, when they're starting, they feel like, well, it's noise. It's very noisy. What do people care what I have to say anyway? You'd be surprised. Um, I've had people reach out to me because they saw a post. I've had people who know me and think I do only one thing, see a post and say, "Oh, I didn't know you did this other thing. Let's talk."
Mhm.
That kind of thing happens all the time. You never know what impression you're giving people. And so it's really, really important to stay top of mind and remind them who you are, what you do, and what value you bring to the world.
Fantastic. So, Marie, how do people find you if they want to get in touch with you?
Well, you can find me on social media. Just search my full name on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. My website is incontrera.com, my last name.com. And I actually have a lead magnet there. It's the first 3 coaching questions I ask everybody for their big idea. So, if you're thinking about a TEDx, or you want to speak on podcasts or something like that, it's the first 3 questions I ask everybody, and it's designed to just kind of get the juices flowing.
Well, this has been incredibly valuable, and I really want to thank you so much for your time today. This has really been a blast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.